Today we're going to be working in Photoshop, and we're going to look at a couple of things in there. First, you need to make sure you are working with Photoshop 25.0, the latest version of Photoshop, because it has some AI tools that we're going to use, artificial intelligence. So we're going to look at the generative artificial intelligence that Photoshop has to offer, and we're also going to explore a concept referred to as layers. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and in Photoshop here, I'll go ahead and show you where you find out the version. About Photoshop, click there and it says 25.00. That was just released a couple weeks ago, so that is what we're using. Now, under File, click on New, and it's going to ask you what size. You can customize it, something like 8 by 10 or 8 by 8, 300 ppi, high quality. I want it printable if we decide we want to print it. I'm going to go ahead and actually make mine, let's make mine 8 by 8 and create it. So that 8 by 8 will be a nice square. So for the AI generative stuff, what you do is you select an area that you want to create something, generate something, and then tell the program what you want there, and then the program is going to look at millions of photos to try to put in what you're asking for. So I'm going to click on Generative Fill. So it's going to fill the area I selected with whatever I put in here. So I'm going to say the perfect pumpkin. And now click Generate. It's going to take a little while because it's literally looking at millions of photos and saying, what is a pumpkin? Well, let's see. And then it's going to create a new pumpkin. I don't want one already carved. I'm actually going to carve it, but that's pretty cool. Oh, that's neat. So I don't want one carved, so let me delete those. And I'm going to hit Generate again, just get some more options. It always creates 3 new ones when you click on Generate. Here we go. That's very carvable. That's kind of cool. Wrong angle, and it looks like one of those small mini ones. That's pretty sick. I like that. But I'm going to go with this one. That looks so carvable. I'm going to delete these others because it actually is taking up space in the program and the computer, so I don't want to slow down my computer. So, layers. The first layer, layers are kind of like pieces of paper on top of each other. So the first layer is just the blank empty canvas, and then now I have a cutout of a pumpkin sitting on top of that. And then I'm going to eventually start putting things on top of that pumpkin. But before I do that, I'm going to change the size of this pumpkin a little bit. So I'm selecting the layer that the pumpkin's on, and I'm going up to Edit. I'm going to go to Transform and the one called Distort because it gives you more freedom. I'm going to make it a little bit taller, a little bit wider, and then that side goes in a little bit. So you can actually grab a corner and just stretch that side a tiny, tiny bit. That kind of, in my opinion, looks weird. All right, there we go. That looks like a perfectly carvable pumpkin. Then you have to tell it you're done, hit the check mark, and you're saying, I'm done moving it around. Now I'm gonna, on the pumpkin, not on the background layer, but on the pumpkin, I'm gonna draw where I want some eyes. So I want one eye here. Now I'm gonna hold down Shift so I can select another area, try to make it similar. Nope, that's not very similar, so let's see what happens. I'm gonna say, scary eyes. I want some scary eyes. And it would also help if I could spell. It's looking at millions of photos and saying, what are scary eyes? And it's also matching the existing content in your image. So it's going to match the pumpkin perfectly. Those aren't very scary. Those are cute. Let's see. Ooh, those are nice and scary. Ooh, those are like really scary. So the only thing here is you want to select the area big enough for the eye. I'm going to delete that one. Big enough for the eyes that you want because you can't resize these. Let me go to layers here and show you why you cannot resize. Because it's actually not only getting some cool eyes to put on your pumpkin, but it's also matching the background. So if I delete the pumpkin, you can see it has parts of the pumpkin and the exact lines existing in the pumpkin. So if I were to resize these, let me just show you. If I were to resize these and then bring the pumpkin back up, the lines don't match up. You can see where the things were. So you can't resize it afterwards. If you're like, oh, I want them bigger, then you have to delete that layer, select a larger area, and regenerate. All right, those are great eyes. Those are great eyes. Now I'm going to go back and make sure I select the pumpkin layer. And I want a scary nose or maybe a funny nose. I don't know. Let's see what happens if I type funny nose. Funny looking nose. No, looking, it might get confused with that. The tool is really smart, but it's brand new, so they are going to be constantly changing it. So sometimes what you type, it misunderstands. These are some strange looking noses. Let me just type pumpkin nose. Pumpkin nose. And since it's looking at millions of photos that Adobe owns online, you do have to be connected to the internet to use this AI Generative tool. Some tools work offline, some do not. I'm not having success with these noses. Let me try one more and then I will give up. Make sure I have the right layer selected. Ooh, that could be why. That blank layer is currently selected. Let me delete that blank layer and select the pumpkin. I'm just going to say nose. Let's make it simple. Ooh, I wonder if a witch nose would work. A witch's nose or something. All right, I need to move on after this, so I will keep whatever nose it selects here. One of those three. Please be good. I don't want an ugly nose on my pumpkin. Hey, yeah, these look like carved noses. Oh, that one's boo-boo. That one. All right, I'm going to keep that one. That one's okay. Almost looks like a upside down mouth, but I'll stick with it. Cool. All right, back to the layers. Select my pumpkin. This time I want kind of a scary, cynical smile. So I'm going up. And a mouth with fangs. No. Let's generate some new ones. Yesterday when I tried this, I had some great teeth. Maybe I should just import those. I can't delete these until this is done. All right, let me delete these old ones. Ooh. I'm keeping those. All right, let's see if we can get a, back to my layers. And here's a little bit about the layers. Let me go ahead and talk a little bit about the layers. Now let me make one more thing and then I'll talk about the layers. Let's see if we can get a scar with stitches. I might have to type scar. Did I misspell something? Please review your prompt to be sure. I guess it doesn't like the word stitches. All right, let's say scar with stitches. Let me generate some new ones here and add some music. One last attempt here. Scar with stitches. Am I misspelling stitches? These are not coming out good. I will leave the stitches off. Yesterday I got some awesome ones I'll show you a little bit later. So let me talk about those layers. So the layers, the thing about them is each layer is not transparent. They're opaque, so you can't see through them. So if the layers, let me delete that one. Deleting the scar ones because they're not being used. Nothing's on them that I kept. If the order is wrong, then you won't be able to see your item. For example, the pumpkin covers this whole space. If the eyes were under the pumpkin, then something's hiding under that piece of paper, if you will. So if the eyes are literally under the pumpkin, they're gone. I can't see them. So the order of layers matters 100%. So that's the start of layers. We're gonna get deep into layers. Layers is one thing that makes Photoshop so awesome. Now to save this, in Photoshop, you have to go to File, Save as a Copy. That allows you to change it to a JPEG. Make sure you put where it's going, Documents, or your folder. Put it in your folder, because it goes in your project folder. Pumpkin. Put it in my folder. Hit save. And quality, max it out to 12. The default for some reason is 8. 8 out of 12, that's a fraction. That's literally 2/3 of the quality. So keep it at, max it out to 12. So it's like printable. And that is our completed project. Some others I played with. This one, I love those teeth. Those are great. This one's really evil. And then this one, I think, is the one I got really good stitches. Yes. Look at that, those stitches. Look at those stitches. That's what I wanted on my other pumpkin, but this nose is no good, but I love everything else about this one. So those are some possibilities for your jack-o'-lantern. Have fun, kids.